mom do I want to be?
Yes.
What kind of woman do I want to be, so that when my children emulate our family structure in 10 years, 20 years, will I be proud of that, or will I be embarrassed?
Mm. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Her Business Elevated podcast. And I have a wonderful guest with me today. Her name is Christina Garrett. She is a productivity and parenting coach for busy moms, and she wants to help moms with audacious goals to crave a healthier work life plus rest balance. Her journey as a community leader, she's a pastor's wife and homeschooling mom of 5, allows her to equip her audience with practical time management and self-care strategies that lead to growth without all of the overwhelm, without the burnout and frustration. So I am so glad that you're here today, Christina. We are so happy to talk with you.
Thank you, Demetria. It's good to be here.
You have so much to share, so I can't wait to hop straight into these questions because we want to know how you do it all. And you're a busy woman, but you are doing great things. And we all have 24 hours in our day, and it's all about how we manage that time. So you're managing well. I can already see that, and you can help us with that. So on this show, we talk about elevating women of faith in online business. So all types of business online, but we talk about integrating the faith aspect with our business endeavors because that's important. That's who we are. And we can't leave our faith at the door when we walk into our online business endeavors. So we're going to integrate all of that on this show. So first of all, I want you to introduce yourself to us. Tell us about your family. Tell us about yourself, your pastimes, and the things that make Christina happy.
Oh, wow. So running and coffee make me happy.
Oh, yes. I love coffee.
I'm working on less coffee, more running, but I digress. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me. To everyone who's new to what we do here, I'm Christina. I am a productivity coach. I help busy moms to get more organized in a way that highlights their needs along with their family's needs as well. I found a lot of times when we establish goals, when we work on systems, it's to benefit everybody else, you know? Even the notion of self-care is intertwined around having more to pour for other people still,
Exactly.
And so what we really focus on is what are your needs and how can you rearrange your life, your schedule to really be fruitful in those areas. This includes communicating with your spouse, your partner, co-parenting, and really making sure that we implement strategies that help for everyone to be balanced in the home. We have a lot of things going on right now, all very good, but I'm just glad to be here and share some tips on how we can get more done without adding to our to-do list.
Yes, we definitely need to hear from you on that topic. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And can you just tell us a little bit about your story and how you got interested in becoming a productivity coach? Like what sparked your interest in this?
Well, especially since we're talking to women in business, I want everyone to know that where you are now presently is most likely so far from where you started. And that's okay. So I have 5 kids, but I never planned on a big family. I was counting down the days until everyone was in school. I mean, it was like any day now, so my oldest son, when he was about 1.5, we found out that we were expecting a set of twins. And so we went from being cool as parents of one, early 20s, you can still be cool then, to minivan parents by 25. Okay. So we really had to make some serious adjustments. I think in your 20s anyway, you're still learning so much about who you are. In the early phases of parenting, you're learning so much about who you are. And so I kind of got pushed into a realm that I had no idea that I was going to need to really work through. I had to work through postpartum depression. They say the more kids, kind of the heavier of a hit that you can take when it comes to some areas like that. And I realized that the image of womanhood that I was showing my daughter, I didn't want her to live that way. So sometimes when we have trouble carving out time for ourselves, resting more, all of these things, we got to think about, if my kids grow up to be like me, will I be honored or will I feel embarrassed? So,
that's a good one. Good question.
Looking at myself, I didn't feel like I was the best version of Christina, or that fiery, I have purpose version of myself that I was before. So I started running just to have a goal that got me out of the house and was only mine. Like and I was talking with a client about this over the weekend. I was asking her about her goals, and a lot of them had to do with, family and the family business and the kids.
Right.
What about just you? Like, what's a goal that only benefits you, no one else, And so I started running as a outlet, exercising more. The benefit was I lost like 60 pounds.
Wow.
I told my husband I need to be a little less fulfilled now in this current area of my life, so I can go and drop the weight again. But anyway, I really just wanted to have an outlet. And so I started blogging about how you can love being a mom.
Yeah.
You can love it, love your family, but you're also allowed to not like it every day.
Oh, that's good.
And there's a decade ago, 12 years ago, nobody was talking about mom self-care, postpartum depression, baby blues, whatever you want to call it. Therapy wasn't a fad. Now if you don't have a therapist, there's something wrong.
Then something's wrong.
There's something wrong. Like, why don't you want to improve yourself? I thought I was fine. It's like, you have to go at this point. It's something that's cool now. It's a popping word, and self-care and wellness and all these things in this new word. But back then, nobody was talking about that.
That's so true.
A decade ago, we were not highlighting, oh, you're so incredible for dismantling, working on your depression, working on your anxiety. And so I just kind of rode the wave through and tried to recognize a pattern of where I felt incredible and where I didn't. And I think this maybe one of the first times I'm actually processing this fully is like tracking the moment, like, okay, today is a good day. Why was it a good day? You left for 45 minutes and you ran,
Exactly.
You did, what I'm saying? Like, you did certain things that made you feel better versus the other way around. You order takeout. How can I do that more often?
Right.
So, just really working through that process of blogging about it, running more, signing up for some races, and just working on goals that were all mine. And eventually people started to check in, like, you're not the only person that feels that way. You're not the only, some people shamed me a little. I got a little shame for,
really?
Kind of owning that space.
Yeah.
But, a lot of moms were like, I feel like that too. I want to run away too, Yes. And so we just started putting emphasis, I say pouring gasoline on the fire, and just really taking it up a notch in terms of consistency, putting out more content, and just really zeroing in on the mission so that we could equip the women that were in our community.
Wow, I hear so much passion in what you're doing, and
I love what I do.
You love it. I can tell. And the authenticity of this is what it is. This is what it feels like in this stage of my life. And why am I hiding that? Because there's millions of other mamas feeling the same way. So if we can work through this together, and like you said, this is kind of that season of self-care where this is the fad, this is the thing now. But 10, 15 years ago, it was the thing to share all of your struggles, all of your pain, and you're just the martyr, right? And that was kind of over glorified. So it's good to see how things have kind of turned around, and now we're taking care of ourselves. And sometimes we just have to get away. I remember those moments that 30 minutes just to drive down the street and go to McDonald's, like anywhere that was close to my home, 30 minutes away, and leave my babies at home with daddy for a little bit. That was my saving grace 15 years ago. I needed that space. So it's okay when we feel like running away. We all feel that way. And so I'm glad you said that. And so you're talking about a lot of things: purpose. You're talking about passion. You're talking about being ignited in your heart for the things God has for you in your future, and taking action. That's what I'm hearing a lot of, is taking that action and saying, okay, I'm going to run. I'm going to do the things that I want to do. Yeah, away. but putting into action the things that nobody else has put on your schedule. It's just for you. Yeah. And I love that. So now on to this topic of productivity though, because I know so many of us think of productivity as I have this running checklist of things I've got to do. So let me check it all off. And now I feel good because I finished my checklist for the day, but I'm pretty sure there's a wider, I guess a more kind of aerial view of what productivity actually is. And maybe you have some insight on that you can share with us, how as we as mompreneurs and women CEOs can embrace that concept of productivity without overwhelm.
Absolutely. So when we define individual productivity, there's a workplace or workforce productivity as well. But when you define productivity as an individual, it is aligned with the output of a person in relation to identified goals. In relation to identified goals, the actual definition. So when you start thinking about yourself, the more that you can give, the more you can do, but it has to be in relation to the identified goals. And do you know what the identified goals are so you can be more productive?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question.
Do you even know what we're working on? Do you know how much money we're talking to business owners? Do we know how much money we need to make this month? Do you know how many people you need to talk to, or how you need to amplify the work that you're doing to get in front of more people? What does that look like for your individual business? And so a lot of times we're becoming quote unquote more productive by being busier. So I'm moving all around, I'm doing things, I'm working around the house, and
doing a million things.
You haven't talked to anyone.
Right.
You haven't, sent anything to your email list. You haven't, set up a workshop for the week. You haven't, done these things that will push you in that direction. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the identified goal for, even if it's just for the month of January or the first quarter of the year? What is that going to look like for you as an individual? Have you put a timeline on it, a date on it? We talk a lot about it, but without a date, it's just a wish. It's a hope. We all want, 6-figure months or days or whatever is the new thing that we're highlighting now, Exactly. We all want a 6-pack. We all want, this perfectly organized home. We all want these things, but unless we're putting a date on, I'm going to accomplish this in this moment, in this day, on this quarter, then we're just kind of fluffing ourselves and becoming more busy. We have to ask ourselves, am I being paid to do this? Am I being paid to do this? When I go in my house, I'm not sure how old your kids are. My kids are 14, 12, 12, 7, and 4. Okay. If they can get into your phone, right. Big kids, if they can get into your phone and open your YouTube, they should be helping maintain the house.
There you go. I love that. Yes. Why not?
Why are you cleaning the kitchen?
Right.
You could hire a cleaning service. You could pay your kid $1, whatever you want, but I'm not being paid to micromanage that area of my house.
Exactly.
This is not leading me to the identified goals. We're only doing what's an identified goal this year. So if we could just redefine productivity for ourselves as you do things throughout the day, throughout your home, just ask, am I getting paid for this? If I'm not, then I need to go do something I will get paid to do.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's putting some things into perspective. It's bringing clarity to why we're doing what we're doing. Is this a bunch of mindless activity that I've been doing for 10 years, but I don't necessarily need to be continuing because my stage of life is different, because I actually have people that can help, that would be glad to help, or we could make some type of arrangement where they would be glad to help. But these are things that we need to address as women CEOs, as mompreneurs. We can't do it all and expect to stay happy and sane, right? We want that peace of mind, and we want to enjoy our lives and all of the benefits of the things we're working so hard for. But we can't do that if we are run ragged because we can't figure out how to delegate. So I love that you brought that up, especially when we have children. They can help. They can help a lot.
Chilling.
Yes.
They're like sitting on their bus playing video games.
Right. What's that?
Scrubbing? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was going to flip everything over. Get up off the couch. There's no reason I should be picking up this. It's not even my stuff. If it was just me here, maybe even just you and dad, like
right.
Dad earns his keep. I earn my keep. You all are living here rent free. We feed you everything,
Exactly.
pick the stuff up off the floor. It's just, it's common courtesy. It's a lesson that we're teaching our sons. It's for when they have wives. It's a lesson we're teaching our daughters, especially in this current culture of, what are women, we're not going to get all into gender roles and all the stuff, because for everyone's home is going to be different. But
That's right.
At no point should she feel like she has to do all the things.
Absolutely.
At no point should she feel like that's normal and we can't tell them that and then show them something different. It goes completely against,
that's right,
our family identified goals.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. That's good. And we need to hear that and be reminded. And okay, so we're talking about productivity. We're talking about what it means, what it actually means to be productive. And some of that means cutting out some of the work that we're doing that is not necessary. And then you have some pillars that you teach, right? Pillars of productivity. So we'd love to hear what some of those are.
Absolutely. So we have 4 pillars of productivity. Kind of hinted and seeded at them a little bit throughout this recording already. But the first one is to create a family vision. The second is to communicate your needs to your loved ones. Your third one is delegate unnecessary tasks. Number four used to be alleviate your stress and your overwhelm through self-care and self-awareness, but now it is elevate your mission.
Oh, I like that.
Now it's elevate your mission. It goes beyond just, I want to be more carefree. Instead, it's why do I want to be the best version of myself? It's because there's something in here that is supposed to change the world, So we've kind of, modified some things. So when we create a family vision, this goes back to our identified goals. It is a semblance of what do I want my family to embrace, the principles, the morals, what kind of mom do I want to be? What kind of woman do I want to be, so that when my children emulate our family structure in 10 years, 20 years, will I be proud of that or will I be embarrassed?
Very
whatever kind of mom I said I wanted to be, how can I be her today? How can I be the mom that practices self-care by leaving the house to go for a walk or a run? How can I be the mom that, is laughing loud and dancing with their kids while they clean the house up, right? How can I slow down and hug them and love them? What kind of wife do I want to be? What kind of co-parent, right? If you're divorced and you guys are co-parenting, you don't want to be the source of strife.
Right.
You don't want to be the root, right, of the person that causes dissension and drama. You don't want to be that person, right? You want to be the person that sows peace and love and joy, even in those relationships that can be very contentious, right? So we want to make sure that as part of our vision, we're looking at the bigger picture of all of this and saying, if I had to look 30 years from now, what will I wish I had done today? And then go do that.
That requires that we picture ourselves in the future, which is something we don't often like to do because we're stuck in the here and the now and, all these things I have to do now to accomplish my goals now. But what about 20 years down the road? Our kids grow up quickly. They grow up fast and they're watching our life. And so, like you said, if we're making that impression today on the kind of parent that they remember in 20 years, so every choice we make now is affecting them in the future and their and the generations to come. So it's a lot to remember and to always keep in mind that we're making an impact right now with our choices right now. So I love that. I love those 4 pillars. And I think that has to do also with figuring out how to stay organized today so that we can meet that goal in the future of the kind of person that we want to be the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We want to make that impression later, but we need to start now. So how do we organize our life today, and our business as well, because our business is a part of our life. And we're trying to, as business women, we're running our business, we're running our personal life. Sometimes we have them on two different plates, like we're holding a plate in one hand, a plate in the other hand, but it's really all integrated. So how are we keeping all of that organized? Any tips for us?
Absolutely. So when we think about the second and third pillar, which are communication with your loved ones, with your team, I say team and your tribe, we want to make sure that we have it painted out so that someone else can pick up the mantle and go forward with it.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of times the reason we're disorganized is because we're doing too many things outside of the identified goals.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So the purpose of your business is for you to make money, right? Let's just get that out there.
That's right.
The purpose of your business, you did not go, I'm sure everyone here has a passion for what they do, but you could serve with that at a nonprofit on the weekends.
That's right.
If you just wanted to be in, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
To say, hey, listen, I'm in business to create legacy for my family. Like, let's own that. Okay. Right. So as we're going forward, the identified goal for the business is to create impact and influence and income that's coming into the family, right? So you can afford to get that cleaning service, to get the back of the tub that you don't want to bend over and go get, okay?
That's right.
So in order for that to happen, though, we have to make sure that we're communicating well with our tribe and with the team that comes to support us. Maybe you can get a VA, doesn't have to be a VA in the States for $25 an hour. You could go and get a virtual assistant that's $8 an hour in another country, right? To send emails for you and follow-ups or do research or find emails, all these things, you can find someone, but you will still need to teach that person how to replace your efforts. Okay. So we have to know what is the most pinpointed aspect that we can send. What do I want to say? How do I want to say it? We want to figure out exactly what we need them to do.
Right.
Okay, exactly that. And so right now, my virtual assistant is reaching out to human resources, employee engagement, diversity and inclusion, heads of departments, okay, getting their information so I can send them who are you bringing on for Black History Month, right? Like,
yes, good.
I've also analyzed the fastest way for me to get to identify goals. Okay. I charge $5K for 6 months of coaching, right? Simultaneously, a corporation will pay me $5 to $10K for 90 minutes of speaking. Okay.
Right.
So I was doing my math and I was like, you know what? We may still take some clients for this year.
Sounds
well, what if?
Pretty obvious.
What if? Because I love coaching. Like, I really do. So I'm like, hey, some people, they just want to coach 3 months. We work that kind of stuff out, but it gives me space to say, hey, I don't need everyone to sign on for 6 months. I just want to speak more because that's something I love doing. I'm great at it. And Nike can afford me, right? Hyatt can afford me. The housing authority can afford me. So working more in those realms that are going to get you to the identified goals the fastest. Have we sat down and done our math? Have we sat down in this uncomfortable space, almost stopping the busyness, stopping, doing things that we're not paid to do, and asking ourselves, what is the easiest way for me to get to my goal?
Yes.
If you're charging $1,000, you may need to make it $2,000. Right? You may need to stretch out, work on your plan a little bit. You may need to work on the confidence, the Godfidence inside. You may need to go through and check all your personal receipts to say, this is why it should be 2 instead of 1. Do that work.
That's
ask yourself, what's the fastest way to get to this goal? And it very well may be that I could work 90 minutes and do this, or I could work for 6 months, right? Which I don't mind because I love it. But the two of them go together. Right? I can put more energy into this other place. And then it gives me more space to serve those who may sign on for 3 months or something like that without me feeling as though my business is compromised.
Exactly. I love that. It's about getting clear that your business should be run like a business. And if you want to have a passion project, then do your passion project because that's all good, but that's not a business. So when you're running a business, we have to know how much do we want to make? what within the time frame and the way we're going to make that money. So I love that you said the shortest way, if you can repeat that, the shortest way to get to our.
So one of my cousins, he always said the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so even if we think about like corporate or speaking, all those things, those are a long game of sorts. Okay. So I'm in talks with certain corporations about conference stuff. I know this is a long game. I know that I'm not just going to pick up the phone that one time and they say, oh, sure, we'll sponsor your entire event. I might need to talk to more than one person in order for that to happen. I may need to consistently show how I add value over the course of time. So I got to be okay with that. Sometimes it takes them a while to send the checks. Be okay with that, right? But in the midst of all of that, ask yourself, what's the quickest way for me to get to my destination? Is it serving people in this way, or is it serving folks in this other dynamic? So I was honored to present for our local housing authority to some of the lady leaders that were there, right? And as a bonus, I offered everybody a complimentary coaching hour.
Wow.
Okay, everyone that was there, come on in. Now here was the bonus. They added me in before the year was over. Okay, before the year was over. So we just want to get you into the system as a vendor before the year is over. I said, so then I'm talking to the ladies, how do I get to come back and do that again? And this time we'll put together a proposal that includes you all's coaching. So these women who are on a fixed income, who are serving the city, right? Lower income residents and all these things, they may not be able to afford $5K, $10K for 6 months of coaching, but instead who they work for can.
Different ways of looking at it.
Different ways of looking at it. So I poured immense value on them. Let's talk about all the things you want to do and your kids and how they don't clean and they don't cook. Let's talk about all of it, right? But then as we're coming into this new year, let's just analyze how we can enlarge our influence without adding so much more to our list. That's still me serving that one company, but just in different ways.
Wow. We have to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. And sometimes we get stuck in, well, I have to get this to get to client A and then to client B. And then I have to do my Facebook ads and then and so we get so caught up in our little box, but there's so many options. If we just look at the bigger picture, there's so many more ways, so many different ways we can add value and be impactful to our communities. So that's good. I'm glad to hear about what you're doing in your community and how you're bringing all of that together and how God is bringing that together for you. That is beautiful. And then I want to ask you about because we all have business successes and challenges. And so just to be an encouragement to all of us listening, who many of us have had our share of challenges in business. So can you maybe share something that has been a challenge for you and how you overcame that in business?
I think the biggest challenge, and it sounds cliche in a way, but I just got to be honest. I think the biggest challenge for me has been overcoming who I used to be to fully enjoy who I am now.
Wow.
Yeah, to fully enjoy who I am now. I think that there were certain things that I was evolving as a person, right? And I'm sure everybody that's listening or watching, you can identify with where you started, phase one. There are things that have transformed, you've learned, you've added value to yourself, you've taken more classes, you've gotten more coaching, more business building, all of this. And so now you're different. Yeah. You're a different version of yourself than when you started, but it's possible that people around you have become accustomed to the old you.
Old you. Yep. Absolutely.
So Christina, when she first started Momathon, felt like $100 was $1 million, right?
And now
someone who has invested intentionally in herself, I got over feeling like, oh, that's too much money to, for a consulting package or a coaching package, right? I've heard that with every level, you go through this again. So we have to be okay with that process, that with every level, you have to work on that internal dialogue and that mindset, with being comfortable and just, y'all know the stuff.
The whole imposter syndrome and all of that.
Can I do that? Should I do that?
Yeah.
And so now I'm in a phase of, I'm absolutely going to do that.
There you go. I love that.
That's absolutely the right thing for me. That's absolutely what God wants for me.
Yes.
Like sit with that, feel good with it. That is what God wants for me. And so Pastor Darius Daniels, he has sermon series about this. Just all of my business. But one of them he calls I Want What I Want.
Okay.
And in the sermon, he talks about how God literally takes the desires that he has for you and drops them into your heart. So you don't even get to desiring them or wanting them or it becoming a notion in your mind if God himself had not put it there anyway. And he said, if you're listening for the Lord and you're receptive, he is going to correct you anyway. Like you can't say, oh, I have this desire for someone else's husband and God's going to bless that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the ideas and the passions, right, that he put in here, these big dreams that he set in here. And sometimes we make them null and void. I'm not supposed to have that. I'm not supposed to do that. Instead, we have to own that is for me. Like it just goes without saying. Someone asked me, what's your vision for this year? I'm like, TV. I just know that's what's next.
Just know it.
I don't know
because it's in your heart, because God put it there. And I think that's so important to understand and to accept and to embrace that God puts these desires in our hearts, that he's already put a stamp of approval on it, and that we don't have to question and double check. Is that really God? I don't know. Am I supposed to have that? Right. Yeah. We get confused like, oh, am I supposed to have that? Because, other people and their voices and their messages to you may not be in alignment with what God has for you. So they may be telling you, oh, that's too much. That's greedy or that's, and God is telling you, no, I have this for you. It's in your future. I want you to walk into it. But if we push it away, we're not going to walk into it. So it's about accepting it and embracing. I love that. I love that.
And I want to just add to what you said. And this is about just feeling your, supplying yourself with Godfidence, right? Which is at least don't make yourself less than market value.
Right.
Okay. So one of the things that I did as I shift in terms of my pricing, I'm being honest, right? I went and looked at, there were some folks who they work in publicity, PR. God has touched my fingers and mind to pitch well for media opportunities. Okay. So I have not had a publicist up to date. I just started talking with one of my friends about, folks at different TV shows that I don't know. We can begin that process of working together to get into those spots. Okay. But prior to this time, Essence Magazine, multiple times, Red Table Talk, Fox News, all these media opportunities all came from me learning and mastering public relations to pitch myself because I couldn't afford a publicist. Okay. So then in these periods, I saw folks charging $5,000 just to look at your pitches, just to audit your social media, just to do all these things to help you get into these spots and tell you what you're doing wrong. These were freebies that came with people being a client in the first place. Right. So it made sense for there to be changes because I, as a person, change. As Demetria changes, as all the ladies who are listening or watching, as you're changing and growing and you're adding more value, it's okay for you to say, I know this is market value for what I'm offering you.
Absolutely.
I know it. You get all this extra good stuff for free. You're willing to go take the people to lunch. You want to go do all this extra stuff, but you don't want to add a zero. It's okay. But let's work on our mindset because some folks are giving away level 2, level 3 for the same price that you're giving level 7 and 8. And so let's just stick with, I had to change. Okay, maybe my clientele needs to be different. And now I'm talking to more lady CEOs and women in the C-suite and women who want to establish themselves as thought leaders. Right. So public relations is important to them and they want to know how to do it.
Yes.
Right. That's a shift. Okay. So as you all shift, it's okay if all of you does, and you can't just say, I'm going to move. You can't spot reduce fat. You can't just change one aspect of yourself and the rest of your life doesn't reflect it.
Wow. That is powerful. I'm going to go back and listen to this over and over. That's good, Christina. Thank you for that. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say. I'm just still marinating on that, but
my current lesson.
Yes. Just so good. Okay. So successes. So we've talked about challenges. What are some of your favorite things about business right now? I already hear the passion and the excitement. I already know that you feel a measure of success right now. And so what are some things that make you feel that way? How have you gotten to this point where you're feeling really just satisfied in what you're doing?
I think that I've gotten to a place because it feels like certain goals are inevitable. It feels like certain things, it's only a matter of time before it happens.
Yeah.
And I think I had to do a lot of mindset work and brain work and all of these things. We're going to talk about the conference later, but preparing for the conference and doing my budget. And I was like, what am I thinking? Right. But then at the same time, I said, wow, God, how are we going to pull this off? In like a good way. Like I got excited at the challenge versus, going back and regressing to a place of, I just need to cancel everything because it's something I've never done before, So I think that part of the beauty of building success in business is when you rip off the Band-Aid and you may screech for a second, but you're willing to go back to it and say, I want to be a different person who can handle this better. Okay, I see this challenge, but this is just a way for me to stretch.
There you go.
And to really feel that inside, to be okay with telling yourself a different story, that most of our thoughts that come into our mind are negative.
That's true.
Most of the ones they come in to say, don't do that. Stay comfortable, sit your wilding out, be smaller, and instead tell yourself, wow, that's for me. I'm the best person to help in this area. I'm willing to volunteer and say, hey, consider this. I'm willing to raise my hand and say that I'll be that person. And so in this current season, I feel that internally. I want every woman that's listening to tell themselves a different story. That's for you. God dropped it in there for a reason.
Yeah.
Now you got to do the work.
You have to do the work.
Got to do the work.
That's so good. It's just finding what God has for you to do. And then it's taking the journey. It's not saying no to everything. It's opening up yourself to yes. And saying, yes, Lord, you can use me to do this great work, even if I don't feel qualified to do it, even if I've never done it before, I know you're going to help me do it. And I'm willing to take the challenge. And that's what you're doing. And so that's so insightful for us. And I know that you have a conference coming up. So I want you to share about this conference. Tell us the name of it, what we can expect as part of this conference.
Absolutely. So the Momathon conference is my favorite part of what we do. We're going into year 8 now.
Oh, wow.
I know, isn't that crazy? We really started off just wanting to host some amazing ladies in a shared space so that some busy moms and women could feel supported and seen and appreciated. We had like a beautician on site.
Wow. That's amazing.
No, there was no wow factor in the the room was small, the chicken was dry. Something happened. We had like cookies for dessert. It was so bad. But something amazing started to happen that night, where afterwards everyone was still standing around till like 11 o'clock at night talking. And the next day, everyone was Facebook friends. And it was like a very organic multiplication of women who wanted the same thing.
That's powerful.
So once we, it was like, okay, this is new, but let's go back and do it again next year. And a lot of lived event planning experience occurred over the years that followed. And now we've really found our groove with how to support our ladies, because like I said earlier, because I'm shifting as a leader, as a person, as a business owner, our clientele is too, so the ladies that come to the conference are almost all moms of color, right? They're busy women. Not everyone's a mom, but almost everyone is a business owner, or they work in corporate. But they're trying to start a little something on the side, and they're trying to figure out, how do I enjoy my season of life while still building my legacy? And so we talk about self-care and physical wellness and your business and stretching yourself in good ways. we have worship, and then we also have live music. So it's like the
that's
happy
wonderful.
medium, of those women who we have a passion for God, but we also, like our Megan needs still work. So we're like in that happy medium of women who, we love the Lord, but we still have a really good time, and we try to bring our authentic selves to that space to just breathe and revamp and work on our strategy. So we're going into year 8. This year, it'll be October 27th through the 29th in Atlanta. And we would love to have you all. Whoever wants to roll up, feel free to find me on Instagram and slide in my DMs.
So it's called the Momathon
Conference. Yes,
in Atlanta, October the
27th through the 29th.
The 29th. All right. I'm so glad you've done this. And I didn't realize you had this for 8 years. That's quite a journey. So you've had a long time to kind of structure it the way you want it to be. And I bet it's different from year to year too.
Very much so. Every year new ladies come, so it changes and shifts so organically. Like in my mind, I think about women who are, children in elementary school, high school, college, right? But then we also have women who come and bring their mothers. And then their mom is there and they're like, I just came for the ride, but I do need to get that book out. We're like, yes, you do, So I think it's changing organically also, where there are women who are empty nesters, right? Who are saying, now is my time, to work on some things, to pour more. So this year, we're going to really work on how our classes are structured to make sure we meet the needs of a very diverse group of ladies.
That is beautiful. And I love that. The fact that it's never too late. So no matter the age group, they're like, okay, I think I can get started now in life. So I love that. I do have one more question for you about motherhood before we get into our goodbye session, but I just wanted to know about motherhood and how, I know a lot of people listening right now are moms and mompreneurs. And so I just wanted a quick tip on how we can run our business while balancing our family. I know we talked a little bit about balance earlier, but just kind of brief over that quickly. Motherhood and business, how do we combine that?
Okay, so here's my thought. It goes with pillar 3, which is delegating your unnecessary tasks. Okay. Once we've identified our goals, once we've communicated with our loved ones that, hey, this is a business goal I have. These are personal goals. I want to run a 5K. I want to, make the gym a habit. I want to do this. I want to do that. Once we've communicated that to our loved ones, we got to make sure that the things that we're doing that are on the list are things that only we can do. Okay. So if you're married, we're all grown. No one else should be having sex with your husband.
Oh,
right?
absolutely not.
Just you. You can't delegate that, right? You can't. As a mom, there are things that our children need to hear from us. Okay. They need to hear positive affirmations and I love you and give me a hug. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm so glad you're my kid and all this stuff. No one else can tell them those things, slow down and have these intentional talks about all the things that are happening in the world that are, crazy, but this is how we do things as a family of faith, right?
Yes.
So these are conversations we need to have with our children.
That's right.
When it comes to our businesses, we can't delegate having vision. We can't delegate having vision. No VA can tell you what your goals are. No marketing guru can tell you what your personal goals are for your business. So as we're bringing all of this together, we got to ask ourselves, how do I best communicate to my kids that they're important to me? What are they asking for? What are they asking me for? How do I best communicate that to my husband, that he's important to me? Baby, if there's only 2 things I could do for you today, what would they be?
Wow. That's good. That's good.
If I could only do one thing for you this week, we probably already know.
Yeah, we know.
But all right, bet. That means I'm not cooking, right? We're not gonna clean up nothing this week. We're just gonna focus on having energy for intimate time.
Right.
Okay. Because that's what you communicated to me. Some days it might be listening. Other days it may be slowing down to focus on the things that matter most. So as you're intertwining all of these factors of your life, all the women that are in our community or that we work with they have multiple layers, to their existence. And so the question is, what will make the biggest impact and show them the most love and support in this day. And I'm going to focus in on that for this season. You know, it is not me driving my kids everywhere because I just cannot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We sign those kids up for all these sports and all this stuff, and then we mad because we're tired. Husband mad, he not getting none. It's just a violent cycle, you know? So we just have to ask ourselves, where can we pull back in some places so that I can work on the vision? I can be the wife I want to be, or co-parent I want to be, and the mom I want to be as well, that I'm giving them what only I can give.
What only I can give.
Only me.
Yes. Yes. That's how you make the best use of your time.
Your time.
That's wonderful. So I know our listeners are thinking, okay, I need her in my life. She needs to coach me. So how can our listeners get in touch with you, Christina?
Absolutely. So we are on Facebook and Instagram at the Momathon Diaries, Momathon, the Momathon Diaries, or you can look me up and just send me a friend request like normal people do. Christina Garrett. You'll see my afro and probably a lip color. And you'll know it's me.
Awesomeness. Thank you so much. You have been wonderful. It added so much value to us today, and we're so grateful for you. And thank you for your time, Christina.
Thank you so much.